Winners and Winers, along with Stable Wagers, bringing you Breeders' Cup Saturday 2021. Continuing coverage from Old Del Mar. Derbyologist with you here again. Hopefully you had a great Breeders' Cup day on Friday. We're going to come right back at it. We did have a couple of shots finish in the money, and our best bet of the day won on Friday. Let's take a look at Saturday's action. And we've got 9 races to get to here. We started off with the Filly and Mare Sprint, and then the Turf Sprint, the Dirt Mile, the Filly and Mare Turf, and the Sprint. Quick look back at races on Friday. You know, the tracks seem to be playing very fair overall. I think the jockeys are a little bit more aggressive on these big days because the adrenaline is pumping. Just like us horse players and sports bettors, they get jazzed here for the big day. So I think you saw overall some stronger paces than we're used to seeing normally. On the turf, turf looked in really good condition. Horses were firing from the inside, especially in the juvenile turf races. We saw a fantastic, and then we saw an outside move last to first in a couple of the turf races. So handicap accordingly, but real no biases going into the day. We'll have to see if that changes. We're going to have a best bet of the day later on today. We're also going to be doing some trifectas from the Classic and the Turf, but let's take a look at these races one by one. Filly and Mare Sprint, that is going to feature Gamine, the defending champion. Now, this is a small field, and she is going to be a very heavy favorite in this race. Meanwhile, the Turf Sprint has a full field of horses, and I'm going to be taking a shot with Lieutenant Dan in that race. The Dirt Mile, one of the bigger favorites of the day in Life is Good. Again, a little bit smaller field. Then we've got the Filly and Mare Turf. Some good horses coming over from Europe. We've got the Japan horse, Loves Only You, who ran third in the Dubai race to Mishriff. And then we've got the Sprint, the fastest horse in the world, going 6 furlongs. And going to be interesting overall to see how this plays out. We're going to go over all my selections, and then we'll take a look at each of these races individually, because I know some of you just want to get right to the picks. So that's what we'll do, and come back and take a little bit more look at the analysis here. Turf Mile, Distaff, Turf, and Classic will close it out. There is a $1 pick 6. There's a 50-cent pick 5, 3 of them throughout the day, and lots of ways to cover the action, rolling daily doubles. All right, let's get to it. My top pick in the Filly and Mare Sprint is going to be CC. Here's what I envision. You know, Gamine isn't as fast as she was last year, and she's going to get a little bit more pressure from Bella Sophia up front. Bella Sophia is definitely very capable of winning, but I'm hoping CC can come off the pace and maybe pick up the pieces at 7 furlongs. I think CC's best distance is 7 furlongs to a mile. Now, in the Turf Sprint, I'm going to take more of a horse for course here in Lieutenant Dan. Golden Pale is going to be the favorite. I think he is one to fade. So if you want to take a few horses to kind of be alive in that race, Gear Jockey is a consideration. Arrest Me Red is going to be 10-1. And I thought he ran a really good race the last time out in the Breeders' Cup Sprint Championship at Belmont. So lots of consideration for Lieutenant Dan. Arrest Me Red, Gear Jockey, any one of those 3 is capable. The fade for me is Golden Pale. I just don't think he has the advantage speed figure wise. And lightly raced this time of the year, sometimes they can move forward. I am a firm believer that most Breeders' Cup races are won by horses that get a new career top or match a career top. And I'm just not so sure that we're going to get that out of Golden Pale. Now, when you look at my other selections in the Dirt Mile, I'm going to go with Life is Good. Only loss of his career was Jackie's Warrior, setting fast fractions off a long layoff. He's the lone speed in this race. And this is clearly where I see Life is Good as improving, and I see 2-3 horses after long campaigns kind of declining after a long year. Filly and Mare Turf, I'm leaning towards Rugier, but I also think you can use Pocket Square in that spot, and then Special Reserve in the Sprint. Won the Keeneland race the last time out. Could be sitting just off Jackie's Warrior. Jackie's Warrior is going to be the big favorite in that race. That's the horse you have to beat if you want to try to cash a bigger ticket. Now, again, continuing along with my selections, for those of you watching, remember, if you have a question, leave us a comment, and also smash that like button if you're watching. And if you cashed any tickets yesterday, let us know, because we may need a loan later on. Let's see what's going to happen here. All right, Master of the Seas is my top pick in the Turf Mile. Again, I think this race, Love is definitely a strong contender. I think there's some of the American horses are a little bit overrated in this spot. They've just been a weaker division all year. I'm against Mo Forza as one of the favorites in the race. I guess I'd rather have Smooth Like Straight. Hit the Road is a scratch. And in the turf, I'm going to go with Tarnawa and Tiona. And then in the classic, I like Essential Quality as you look to that race to close out the day. But those are my top selections as you kind of look at where we're going to take a look at some of the races today, to bet specifically. One of the races I want to mention is Life is Good. Going to be going later on in the card. My straight exactas is over Snapper Sinclair and Silver State. I think the real value of Life is Good is going to be on either the win end at 4 to 5 or even money, or as kind of a key in your middle pick 5 or pick 4s if you want to go with that. Now, another horse to consider in race 8 is the Sprint. I'm going to be leaning on Special Reserve on the win end, and I'm going to kind of fade Jackie's Warrior out of here, go for a little bit more of a price. Remember, on Breeders' Cup Day, I am looking for the kind of a price horse, or horse that can maybe give you a little bit of a run. Normally goes off at low odds, and they're higher odds on this day. Special Reserve over CZ Rocket, Dr. Shivel, and Frenzy Fire, and you may even want to play that each way. Come back with it on the other end. Now, the next race we're going to talk about is race 10. Big favorite in this race is Latruska. I'm going to be going with Malathot, only one career loss, and I'm going exactas over Dunbar Road, Clairiere, Royal Flag, and Private Mission. I see a lot of speed in this race. Latruska's won 5 straight races, 4 of them on the front end and on the engine with some faster fractions. Now, last year, she did not participate in the Breeders' Cup. She did run in the Belle Dame and kind of faded late in that race after setting some insane fractions, 109 flat. Malathot went 10 furlongs the last time, so she's got to cut back this time. The other horse to consider here is Clairiere. You know, she kind of really looked impressive in the Cotillion the last time. I thought she definitely improved in that race. Royal Flag has put together a solid older campaign, and that's one of 2 Chad Brown horses. Royal Flag is definitely the deep closer of the race, and that means Dunbar Road may be more in that mid-pack. But the key to the race is going to be the front end. You've got Latruska, She Dares the Devil, along with Private Mission as horses capable of setting the pace in that race. And so I'm thinking hopefully that we get a little bit of a pace collapse, or maybe the fractions get a little bit fast on the front end, or even a contested pace, and that could set it up for Malathot. If you want a backup horse, maybe you use Clairiere or Royal Flag in your pick 4s and pick 5s. Another race that I want to consider here is a pick 5. This starts in race number 8 with the Sprint, and I'm going to go with Space Blues. Actually, that is not the pick 5. That's a different pick 5. So let's take a look at the pick 5. Your late pick 5 today is definitely going to feature some horses that you want Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie as possible contenders. And another horse worth considering in the turf is Tiona. I think Tiona is going to run a really strong race today. One of a couple of Europeans in that race. Tarnawa, kind of an unlucky trip in the arc, had the lead and was nailed late by the long shot German horse in that race. You may want to take a look at Sissafran. Remember, Domestic Spending and United are scratched. So that kind of lays up some possible horses in that race. And then as you close out the day, you can take a look at some other horses, maybe go a little bit deeper in Classic, maybe go 3 deep, and you could possibly go a little bit deeper as well in the final race. So the filly and mare sprint to start it all off again. Going to go with CC to come off the pace. I'm hoping Gamine is a little bit step slower. Turf Sprint, going to lean towards Lieutenant Dan, but also can make the case for Gear Jockey. Dirt Mile is Life is Good. Filly and Mare Turf, I'm going to lean a little bit wide open race. I think that's a race that you have to go a little bit deeper in on that race. And then the Sprint, Special Reserve, but you can make a case for Aloha West, and then also Dr. Shivel and even CZ Rocket on the cutback in that race. Final race of the final 4 races of the day, the Turf Mile, Distaff, Turf, and Classic. So Classic is going to close out the day. There will be a double the Turf into the Classic. If you can I would go probably a little bit deeper in that turf race. Maybe try to take a horse like Rock Emperor if you want to try to get him in there. Maybe Gufo. There's some other horses, but Tarnawa and Tiona are definitely going to be key to that race. So stick around to Stable Wagers and Winners and Whiners as we get you ready for Breeders' Cup Saturday. We're going to have our best bet of the day for Saturday coming up. Also, some trifecta wagers on a couple of races and a recommended exacta wager as we continue on with continuing coverage of the Breeders' Cup 2021.